Today I have a story about pretty much the most delusional kid I've ever met in my life. Now, this kid will probably make you lose all of your brain cells, so make sure to put on a tinfoil hat to protect them. And yes, you read it in the title already. And I also have a surprise because the man, the myth, the legend, Max Commentates will be joining me today in this video to talk about a story related to this one of his own. Nonetheless, I am 100% sure you will enjoy today's story, so be sure to stick through the end because it will only get juicier from here on out. If you want to be featured on this channel and share your own story, you can do so by mailing me at rajbusiness@gmail.com. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So when I was around 5 years old, I started playing video games on my own because I kind of reached the age where I was already somewhat capable of doing that, because before that I would just enjoy watching other people play them, like for example my mom. But yeah, gradually my parents bought me more and more video games throughout the years. And my mom was always the strict parent, so she didn't necessarily allow me to play very violent video games, even though I didn't really have two shits to give. Yes, some of them were really spooky for me, but to be honest, they didn't really impact me that much. And yeah, my dad was totally cool and always bought me the craziest 18+ games with like horror elements, for example. And even though I was a little bit scared, I always was kind of intrigued by the games itself. So anyways, eventually a couple of years have passed and I got into video games even more than before. And one day there was this school trip our entire class would go to, and we would travel to another city, to like a theme park for kids, and it was pretty fun. Except, well, there was this one moment where kind of in the middle of the day, everyone of my class got very tired and hungry, so we just sat in the middle of like the grass field in like this picnic setup, I guess you could say. And our teacher would give us food to eat during our break, and I believe my mom also gave me some sandwiches I could eat during the lunch. But anyways, our class was kind of sitting next to this other small group of kids, and like they were doing exactly the same thing as us, but you see, they were from another school. And well, I immediately noticed that because before they started eating their own sandwiches, their teacher who was sitting with them started folding her hands and basically started praying and thanking the Lord for the food. And like, I never really saw people doing that before because I wasn't religious myself and neither was anyone in my family. And I was also like 8 years old, so I didn't quite understand fully what they were doing until one of my classmates looked at the kids too, who were also praying now, and like pointed his finger at them and said, "Haha, look at those kids, they are praying to an imaginary magical man. My parents told me so." And like, at that moment, the kids didn't really care about him, even though they heard him loud and clear, and their teacher also didn't care because she was so focused on her prayers. All but one kid. There was this one vicious looking kid who was looking at us with like this contempt on his face, like he was going to flip out any freaking minute. But eventually his teacher told him, "Tommy," which was his name, "stop looking at those kids and finish your prayers." So yeah, that is exactly what he did. And after that, those kids left and our group also left after that, after a while. And we went back to playing in the theme park because, you know, our stomachs were full again and we had all of our energy back so we could continue playing. And like, when me and my other friend were climbing on top of this rope pyramid thing, we were kind of pretending to be a video game character of a game we used to play together, like kind of like a Spider-Man type of character, I guess you could say. And like, we would scream the same quotes that character would also say in the game. But like, here's the deal. So that kid from before, this Tommy kid, came back to haunt us because he also wanted to climb on the pyramid. And it wasn't particularly very big, so there wasn't much space to climb on it. And more than a few people, and including my friend and me, there were at least 5 more kids climbing on the ropes. And like, this Tommy kid, right? He really lost his mind because all of a sudden he screamed, "You guys suck! You play satanic video games!" and I kid you not, this kid actually started to grab one of the ropes and like violently started to shake it. And because the pyramid was a network of like one really long rope, the entire pyramid started to violently shake while me and my friend were literally at the top of it. But luckily, me and him could grab onto the iron pole that was supporting the pyramid in the middle. But unfortunately, the other kids were less fortunate, and some of them barely could even hold on and were screaming for this Tommy to stop doing that. Luckily, he did stop, and all the kids, including me and my friend, could climb down the hell out of that pyramid. And so after we climbed down that thing, my friend started walking up to this Tommy kid and pushed him on his shoulder, grabbed him by his shoulder and told him, "What the hell is your problem, kid? Why are you bullying us like that?" And I kid you not, the kid literally told us, "Oh, don't worry about it. I was just helping out God defeating you kids, because both of you are servants of Satan because you play video games. And my parents and teachers at school told me that violent video games are made to make children around the world evil. I was just doing you a favor." And at that moment, both mine and my friend's jaws just dropped. Like, we couldn't even believe what had just come out of this kid's mouth. And then pretty much all of the puzzle pieces came together. I mean, the kids praying, the teacher praying too, and now Tommy telling us that video games are satanic. I understood that Tommy was from a very strict Christian school, and that his teachers and parents are also very strict and religious. And like, at that moment, I was just really wondering about all of this. So I basically told Tommy, "Hey, listen man, if video games were really that bad, I would have already have devil's horns and a tail. Where's your evidence that video games are that bad for you?" And like, at that point, Tommy told us that his mom was a nurse in a hospital, and that apparently she told him that kids who play video games don't eat, don't sleep, and don't drink, and that's very bad. And I mean, maybe that is like the most extreme gaming addiction ever if you don't eat, sleep, or drink. But to be honest, that's a whole nother story entirely. And like, here comes the funny part of this story. So all of a sudden, my friend starts to violently shake. Like, I mean, shake his body, and he started to make these scary sounds with his voice. It literally looked like he was getting possessed, and when I thought about that, I immediately understood that he was trying to pretend that he was some kind of demon or something, tainted by video games, basically to scare away the kid. And at that moment, I literally had to bite my lip and pinch my leg so I wouldn't laugh, because I understood what my friend was doing here. This Tommy kid started to scream his lungs out and ran away so freaking hard, and like, me and my friend laughed so hard that we almost peed our pants. Anyways, my YouTube colleague Max will now tell one of his own stories. Make sure to subscribe to him. I linked his channel down below in the description.
What's up everyone, it's me, Max Commentates. So I offer to take over the second part of this video, and I will be telling a personal story of mine that is about a kid who got brainwashed so much by his parents that he believed that video games are evil. So yeah, buckle up because it's a pretty interesting story, not gonna lie. So yeah, it all takes place back in 2017. It was back in elementary school. We were pretty young and were still forming our personality and such, and back then we were easily gullible, we hadn't developed critical thinking, and this will be important later. So there was this one kid that had very strict parents, and their ideas were passed on to this kid because no normal kid would despise video games as much as he did. So yeah, one day me and my friends were chatting about the new trend in video games. I think it was back when Fortnite started to really become popular. Everybody was talking about it. I personally didn't play Fortnite because I didn't really like the concept and the sweatiness. Everyone was tryharding so much and it wasn't even fun anymore. So yeah, this kid decided to join us. He was like, "Hey guys, what are you chatting about?" We're like, "Oh, we're chatting about Fortnite. It's a pretty decent game that has become a trend lately." And this kid goes like, "Video games? Oh no, don't tell me you play video games." We're like, "Of course we do. Why wouldn't we?" And this kid goes on an absolute lecture as to why we shouldn't play video games and that video games are not good for you and we should stop playing video games immediately if we want to have a future. And throughout this lecture we're like, come on, we have our parents telling us these things. We don't need a second lecture at school. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good time to say that I'm not personally a pretty hardcore gamer, like I don't play a lot of games. The gaming genre I'm most interested in is sim racing. I used to play when I was very little on my PS3 some Gran Turismo, and now I've got a wheel and everything, you know. I used to play it back then, and I still play it to this day. After when the kid was done, we were like, okay, that was pretty necessary, but anyways. And we forgot about it. So fast forward a couple of months, and my birthday comes around. So I invite everyone back home to play a couple of games, have a nice party. We were in elementary school, so we wouldn't do any outrageous stuff. So yeah, we go back home, we start chatting, we eat a couple of snacks, and we go upstairs, start playing with toys, and eventually we go into video games. I forgot to mention that this kid was invited too. Me and my close friends went upstairs to my room, while this guy remained downstairs and he was literally playing with a couple of toys we had laying down on the floor. So yeah, we booted up Assetto Corsa and started doing hot laps with my racing wheel. We were having so much fun, like my classmates didn't really know how to use a wheel. I showed them how to use a wheel, they became pretty good very quickly. We had lots of fun, let's just say that. Back to the kid, which we might as well call John at this point. So John became pretty bored at this point. He was downstairs playing for an hour by the time we left to go upstairs. So he went upstairs to see what we were doing, because again, he was bored as shit. He knocks on my bedroom door, we were like, come in. And he opens the door, and the face he did when he saw us playing Assetto Corsa is priceless. The guy lost his shit. He's like, what? You're playing video games? How dare you? Did you not listen to what I said to you a couple of months ago? Yes, he still remembered that. Don't you know how bad it is for you? It distracts you from schoolwork, blah 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 blah. And at this point we were like, this guy is not serious. It's my birthday. Of course we'll have some fun. And like, I'm not a bad student, I never was a bad student, like, I would always ace my classes. But yeah, after he finished his little rant, he asked, what are you playing, guys? And I was like, we're playing Assetto Corsa. And he goes and drops the absolute bomb. What? A racing game? Because he saw the racing wheel. That's for babies! And he starts hysterically laughing. Well, at this point I'm pretty pissed, because that's the only games I play, racing games. I was like, why are you saying shit about racing games, bro? What's your problem? And this guy didn't really know how to react, and he went downstairs and started crying to his mom. For some reason, he was so soft it's not even funny. And then, and I'm not even making this up, his mom came upstairs and started yelling at us for playing video games. She was like, oh, how could you have subjected him to video games? Those things are evil. And at this point, we all knew that his mom was brainwashing him into believing that video games were evil and bad. It was the most awkward shit ever. So yeah, after a couple of hours, the party was over. And for the rest of the school year, this party and this moment became a little bit of a meme, because he got his mom to defend him, and he was treated pretty badly for the rest of the school year. But now we're pretty good friends with this guy. He has fortunately learned that video games aren't that bad after all. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. Thank you, Rats, for having me. And yeah, back to you.
Okay, thanks very much, Max. The best way to support my channel is to binge watch my story videos. They are showing up on the screen right now. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash the like button. It would mean the world to me. Subscribe if you are new on the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.